Good evening and welcome to the Florida Weather Watch's weekly weather forecast, this time for the dates of May 2nd to May 6th. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's forecast. I apologize for not having a forecast last week. I was focused on coaching my debate team in our state championship debate tournament last weekend, so I need a little bit of a break, and we've been getting ready for testing at the school. Uh, I'm back in the saddle again, so to speak. And here we go with this week's weather forecast. Before I continue, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button below. What I notice is many of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel currently, so please make sure you hit that subscribe button below to get my latest videos and notifications when they do occur. And please hit that thumbs up button, that like button down below. It tells me that you appreciate my forecast. And one thing I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make sure that my forecast videos are a little shorter. I notice that my forecast videos may be a little bit too long for the audience out there. So I'm going to try to condense it down a little bit. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the forecasting, ladies and gentlemen. As you see with my headlines on the screen here, we are going to get some much needed relief this week after a crazy week with severe weather last week with multiple tornadoes around the state and severe weather alerts, tornado warnings every which way. But thankfully, nobody got killed in any of that severe weather. Nobody got really injured. So that's always a thumbs up for the weather forecasters out there for keeping everybody ahead of the storm. We're going to have some cool mornings coming up, some very warm afternoons, and I'm going to give you an update on the drought situation. So normally I take you through the satellite imagery, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you a diagram that I created earlier to this evening about the weather pattern that's unfolding across the country and why we're going to finally get a break here. And it's something called the Omega Block. Okay, sounds very powerful, very intense, but for us here in Florida, depending on where this sets up, usually leaves us in pretty good shape, and that's going to be the case here. You're going to have that I drew this diagram earlier. You're going to notice that there's a storm system that is over the northeast United States here. There's a storm system that's over the northwest United States here. But up the middle of the country here, there is absolutely nothing going on. This is because there is a very strong ridge of high pressure that has built into the center of the country. And what this is essentially doing is it's going to block any storms that try to come across the United States. Typically, we have our storms that come across the United States from the west coast of the United States, east coast of the United States. But what this storm system is going to do, what this high is going to do, is it's going to say, hey there, not happening. I'm going to create a wall here. Okay, so let's just say that this is a wall here. What this wall does is it prevents storms from going from west to east. So any storm that would come around would either have to come around in a direction like this over the top, okay, or it would have to come underneath, okay. But for Florida here, it can't come underneath because we also have another area of high pressure that built in behind that storm system recently. So we have another area of high pressure right here that is going to block anything that tries to come towards Florida. So what that means is there's actually another wall, so to speak, that is happening right here. So we have two walls that are going to protect us in the atmosphere from any storm systems. So what that means right now for the next week is that we're going to have sunny weather, maybe a few clouds here and there, and pretty much no rainfall for the next week. Actually, what I'm going to end up showing you here is, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's look at this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is your 120-hour, 5-day precipitation forecast that ends on Saturday evening at 8 p.m. Look at Florida, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Florida. It is high and dry. And the only rain to speak of is in the center part of the state, where you may have occasional sea breeze collisions that do occur. Sometimes what will happen is you'll have the sea breezes coming in from the east here, sea breezes coming from the west here, And that's about the only rain that's going to end up happening. Everywhere else in the state of Florida this week will be high and dry. And we will be protected because of that Omega block, ladies and gentlemen. So that is fantastic news after a crazy week of weather. And as I go through the forecast temperatures here, you're going to notice it's going to be warm in the afternoons. And then in the evenings and the nighttime, it's going to cool down a little bit. It's going to be the 60s to low 70s across the state of Florida here. As I go ahead and move this. Wait, I accelerated this too fast, folks. Okay. But then as you go through time here, you're going to notice like during the daytime, temperatures will be warm. At night, it'll cool down across much of the state of Florida, where you're going to see 60s across much of the peninsula here. And then that's going to be the case throughout the rest of the week here. So you're going to have warm afternoon temperatures, cooling at night because the air is going to be drier, and drier air and clear air at night with little wind leads to something called radiational cooling, which allows for cooler temperatures to develop at night. Okay, so that's it for my weather forecast there. The only thing I wanted to show you was an update on the drought situation in Florida. And about a month ago, I was showing you that there was a pretty strong, pretty extreme drought in the southwest area of Florida. That has improved because of recent storm systems. But now that severe drought has now translated over to the Tampa area here, this extreme drought, up into the Tampa area here, up to almost Ocala, where there is now an extreme drought that is taking place. But the one thing I want you to keep in mind here is when it comes to these forecast maps that come out, okay? These forecast maps come out, they're released every Thursday morning, and it's based upon data that's valid through Tuesday at 7 a.m. Okay? So what that means is tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., the Drought Monitoring Center, the U.S. Drought Monitor, is going to look at all the rainfall and the radar data from this past week. And remember, over much of Florida, we had pretty solid storm systems go through this week. We had some decent rainfall totals across the central part of the state here. So it's going to be interesting to see what exactly is going to happen with the new drought monitor that comes out on Thursday morning. It usually gets released at about Thursday at 8 a.m., maybe 10 a.m., depending on how quickly they analyze all the data. So right now, for those folks in Central Florida here, there's a concern for drought right now, where you have extreme drought in the oranges here, and then you have that extreme severe drought there. And then in this red coloring right here, you have extreme drought. Okay. And then those areas, that's where water conservation is going to be key for the future. Okay. So the bottom line is that we still need to be wary of the drought situation. Despite the recent rainfalls that we've had, it's not going to be enough to kill this drought right here. But it could help out the drought situation. Okay, so the bottom line is, going back to my headlines here, and I'm trying to make my forecast videos shorter. First of all, getting a much needed break from all the severe weather, the crazy tornado warnings, and the chaos that was because of it. Cool mornings, very warm afternoons across the state, and we need to continue monitoring the drought situation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday evening. It has been a pleasure. And I want to remind you, please hit that subscribe button below, hit that notification icon, and please hit that likes button. And as well as, I'm always open for comments, so please leave your comments down in the comment section below, so that if you have feedback on improvements to videos, ideas for forecasts, for weather videos, or forecast requests, I always will be open to answering them. Have a wonderful Monday evening. And as my late great cross-country coach Jim Richardson would say, there'll be weather, weather not. But even when there's going to be a break in the weather, I'll be here keeping you ahead. Have a great evening. Thank you very much, and have a great week ahead.